Hello, Shana Tova. Special, loving Yom Kippur message for my grandmother and her sister, but for everyone in general, my friends and families, wishing you a Shana Tova. I wanted to talk about, well, when things just sort of get to be a bit too much, and where we get. And Yom Kippur can be a great example of that, because sometimes the prayers you're involved with seem to go on forever. Now, it's like Yom Kippur is slow enough as it is, and you can be involved with a rabbinical drasha or a cantorial solo that goes on. And other times, I guess it seems you can be around people who just have no desire to hang around, and they're literally rushing through. And you don't want to be disrespectful and run away, but nor do you actually literally want to melt into the carpet as things take forever. So on that note, I'd like to read from a couple of Gemaras that have inspired me. I've spoken to a few other people about similar things, but here is the idea. It's a Mishnah in Brachot, page 34. If somebody goes to pray in front of the in front of the community, and he makes a mistake, someone else should replace him. And that person who replaces him, and the idea here is that someone, for whatever reason, isn't able to continue, but the person who replaces him should not be a sarban, should not be refusing and saying, oh, who me? Am I worthy of taking over the prayers in the middle of Yom Kippur? The person should be okay. Now this brings up an issue that's implying that in general, if you're asked to be the person leading the community, you should be a little modest. Me? Are you sure you want me? And then, okay, if you really need it to be me, then it'll be me. So the Gemara says, someone who goes up to be, or potentially be the chazan, tzarich l'sarev. He needs to refuse it first. Why? What, me? V'meino mesarev, and if he does not refuse, domeh letavshil she'ein bo melach. He's like a pot of food with no salt. I'm sure you ladies at home know exactly what it's like when you cook with no salt. V'meino mesarev, but if he doesn't refuse at all, of course you ask me. I'm the best. I can't believe you took this long to ask me. Sorry, if he refuses too much. It's like a pot of food which has been spoilt with too much salt. On this, I have to bring the statement we'd like to say is that adding salt to food is easy, removing it is a whole chemical process. And it goes to say there is a certain amount you should refuse. And if you refuse more than that, you're a bit off the topic. But there is a further story that relates to this. Tan Rabbanai, rabbis teach. There was a story of a certain student who was in front of another great rabbi, and he was the chazan. And he prayed for too long. Rabbeinu kama arkan uzeh. My rabbi, this guy, he goes on forever. Amar lehem klum ma'arich yoter Moshe Rabbeinu. Does he go longer than Moshe Rabbeinu? Tichtiv beit arbeim hayomit arbeim halayla. Moshe Rabbeinu, he took 40 days and 40 nights to ask whatever he was asking for. It's actually not clear what this is talking about. In theory, it could be talking about when we received the Torah, but I don't think he was praying that. It actually seems to more imply that leading up to the first Yom Kippur, Moshe Rabbeinu prayed for 40 days and 40 nights for the Jewish people to have forgiveness and receive the Aseret HaDibrot, the Luchot, a second time. And there he was praying for us 40 days and 40 nights. You think the Chazan at Yoshua goes on a long time? Think of how long Moshe Rabbeinu went for the first Yom Kippur. There's another story of another student who also was the chazan. We're getting the idea that students, these are inexperienced people with their mind with their mind and heart in the right place, but inexperienced. Once again, in front of Rabbi Eliezer, and this guy here was rushing too much. Amalei Talmidav, and so the students once again said to the Rabbi, Kamakatz Ran, who's there, look at this guy. He's skipping everything. He's running along too quickly. Amalei, he says to him, Klum mekatzer yoter mi Moshe Rabbeinu. What is quicker than Moshe Rabbeinu? Tichtiv el na rafa na la. God, please heal her. So when Miriam is sick. And so what we see here is that apparently prayers aren't specifically too long or too short. They're exactly just right. provided the person has the right intention, because there are prayers much longer than the ones you're talking about now, and there are prayers much shorter than the ones you're talking about now. And it goes back to the original discussion where I was talking about someone is apparently unable to continue leading the prayers, and we bring in someone else, and we're like, no theatrics. Apparently, normally we ask you to say, and you're meant to be a little bit of theatrics, a bit of modesty, no theatrics. We're in the middle of the prayers. At the moment, we are down to business. And that's what's happening now. It's Yom Kippur. We're down to business. There is no time for theatrics. We've had all year to work on ourselves and be somebody. But that's why I want to bring up the next specific point. We all seem to be that we're all really young, and then one day we're old. And what does that really mean? I don't know what the definition of age is. I don't know that you have an income, that you have children, that, I don't know, you think you've done it all. But I'll give a different definition of age. The definition of young is someone who thinks, I've done some things that I might not be proud of, but I'm so young it doesn't really matter because I have so much of the rest of my life that it will pale in insignificance. And the definition of someone old is someone who's like, I've done what I've done already, and like, how much life do I have left to live to change that? And most of us swing between one and the other. We just think we have it all ahead of us, and now it's all behind us. And for both of these people, Yom Kippur is a problem. For the first kind, the young person, well, you know, I might have things to make up for, some minor things I did, but really, I've got the rest of life ahead of me, and I'm going to, hopefully, I hope I'll do better. And for the person who sees themselves as old, it's like, well, what's the point? Like, I'm sure I could be better with what's left, but after what's come before, there's nothing left. It's like I've done it all already. Specifically, I've done all the things I shouldn't have done already. We need to understand how to make a difference with that. So I want to read a discussion of the Sfat Emet, ironically on Parashat Korach, where it's talking about positions of leadership, on what we mentioned to do with the salt. He says as follows: a shliach tzibur is like a kohen, a priest, who is serving God on behalf of the people, who's bringing korbanot. And it says about the korban kehuna, Brit Melach Olam. They have a Brit of salt. Hishva Katuv HaKehuna LeMelach. Pasuk equates Kohanim to salt, or the priesthood to salt. And what do we find about salt? Is something very simple. I understand. You made food, you put in the fancy ingredients, now the salt. Or even better, salt of the earth, the concept of someone who's just what they are. Aaron HaKohen, he would run away from authority. He would run away from being in a position of power. Until Moshe said to him, go to the Mizbeach and do your job. And this is Yom Kippur, the day when Aaron is mentioned as the guy doing his job. And similarly, when Moshe said it's time for Aaron to be anointed with the oil and be the Kohen Gadol, he was like, what, me? And Moshe's like, do it. So he did it. What does it say about Moshe? It literally says, Alav Shalom, our great Rabbi Moshe, of blessed memory, he continually refused. Hashem said, he says, who am I to speak? I can't speak properly. People don't like me. They want to kill me. They think that I'm not so important. Whatever exactly. Moshe continually said, I'm not worthy. Now it says that Moshe was the most humble guy alive. That's why he said he wasn't worthy. But really, Moshe kept on saying he wasn't worthy. And he refused too much. And that's why Moshe wasn't made a Kohen and Aaron was. As it says, literally, it's the Sfat Emet, it says, Moshe has spoiled the pot by adding in a few too many ingredients. A little bit of salt is fantastic. Too much salt, it's inedible. No salt, apparently not so good. And that little bit of salt is that little bit of modesty in a person's character. And Moshe Rabbeinu was like such an amazing character, yet here we are now. We're saying about this amazing character, the Sfat Emet. It says, he doesn't call him a sinner. He calls him someone who doesn't reach his true potential. And Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't reach his true potential. What am I going to do? But this is the point of understanding what it means to try and make up for what you've done wrong. What it means to do that. If Moshe Rabbeinu they did these little things, and he has to spend time fixing up them, so more myself. So more any person who feels, well, be it that I'm young and whatever I've done pales into significance for what I'll do in the future, or I'm old, like what can I do? And it's like if Moshe Rabbeinu has to make up for what he did, even more so that you did. It says in the Gemara on the next page that the heavenly angels desire tshuva. They desire to see people trying to make up for what they've done. And we think, I don't know, he's a murderer, he's going to try and make up for murder. I don't know, he's a thief. I don't know, he's a person who used to deliberately work on Shabbat and make money off Shabbat, and now he's trying to somehow do teshuvah and be a better person. But, what if I haven't done those things? How am I making it up? But it's rather, well, look at what Moshe Rabbeinu did, this little, tiny, annoying thing. And say, what a difference I can make to the world by pulling these little pieces together. What a difference I can make. And that's what I'm saying. I think, I've done so many things in my life. What's the big deal? What can I do today? I could do today, but I've got so many years left to live. Like, it'll pale into insignificance. It's like, what little difference can I make to myself? And just as that little grain of salt makes a little difference, so the commitments, the focus you have today on Yom Kippur will make a difference to you and make a difference to all those around you and all of your family and friends and for the Jewish world. So I wish a comfortable fast, successful time with your friends and families to deserve the good fate you deserve and to become the character you should with those little, tiny, salty changes. Shana Tova, Chag Sameach, Gemar Chatima Tova.